Serious, what is the most shocking thing you've ever seen? I saw an entire intact brain steaming on the road one morning before dawn. Then another 30 feet down the road was the rest of the deer, all crumpled up and missing the back of its skull. Was a pretty creepy few seconds before I saw the body. Saw my brother break both arms trying to parkour from our shed. I heard snaps. You can't unhear that. Murder-suicide scene where the couple was having sex. Man shot his woman in the head as they were doing doggy. Then he turned the gun on himself. She was still ass up in the air. He was slumped at the end of the bed. Dogs attacked him for hurting the woman. They tore him to shreds. I was walking down a neighborhood where number of homeless people is insane, but most of the time I just mind my own business walking to where I work. But one day I saw a person eating his own human waste. I was mind-boggled. Later when I was heading back to my home I saw him at the same area, so I decided to give some leftovers I got from the shop I was working. Man, he was the happiest person I saw when I gave him the food. I was a teenager and we found my mom unresponsive, slumped over forwards on the couch. My BF lifted her up to look at her and to check for a pulse. Her hand stayed stuck to her face as she was in full rigor mortis. He then dropped her as lividity had set in, and her whole face was almost black. Rip Mom. I used to work as a pipe fitter, and one day one of the electricians on the job didn't observe proper target procedure and his partner electrified the line he was working on. Fried him on the spot. Awful to watch, and literally shocking. Pedestrian hit by a car. The victim looked like a fake body as he flew through the air. He had a shoe land over half a block away. Somehow only broke a leg. I was at my college when a school shooting took place. Time slowed down, while we sat hunkered down in our class wondering if this was it. Usually calm classmates and friends cried when the body count started getting announced on international news, and I was flooded with "Are you okay?" messages from friends and acquaintances far and wide. It permanently changed how I felt about my home country and how I perceive some other things as well. Seeing the strongest person I've ever known writhe helplessly on the ground until he quit breathing, then having to give him CPR. My dad took me and my brother to the beach when I was 6 and we saw a dead body wash up on the shore. An old dude's head crushed under a snow removal truck. I actually felt my brain crack for the PTSD to seep in. I once saw a person's entire face melt off after they accidentally touched a live electrical wire. It was a gruesome and shocking sight that I will never forget. The 11th of March, 2011, magnitude 9.0. A tsunami that wiped out almost everything in the city I've been living. Finding my younger brother had just died. He'd been ill a long time, but nothing prepared me for this. I was 14. Watched a guy step onto the tracks in front of a train on my way to work. Fucked me right up. Seeing all those people dying from COVID in the first round, this one guy stood out. He was laying in the room by himself struggling to breathe. I felt so bad for him. We didn't have enough staff to go in and be with him while he died. I was so mad at all the COVID deniers after that, saying it wasn't that bad, it was awful. The Twin Towers coming down on 9/11. I saw it on TV and it's still the most shocking, unreal thing I've ever seen. I saw a guy hit by a reversing forklift and crushed into the side of a van. He died screaming for his mother. I saw a woman with her baby on her back get hacked through the side of the neck /shoulder and it cut about halfway through the baby's head, as well. Baby died instantly but mother survived until the next blow. She was only one of about 20 who were hauled out to an old soccer field in a country in southeastern Africa for execution. They were all hacked up or shot with a hunting rifle while we were under a no interference order. Used to be a traffic safety engineer. Traffic collision analysis was part of the job. Images of the collisions are intense and you can never unsee the decapitations. I watched a bike crash live. A guy rode his bike without his helmet on and a huge trailer crashed onto him head on. He flew almost 6 or 7 feet and landed on his head and his skull rolled down the road and his brain was laying on the road. The memory is still etched into my brain. This happened a long time ago when I was 10. It still gives me goosebumps whenever I think about it. Mall food court fight ends with jugular stab. The guy literally watching his blood jet 4 to 8 feet away from his body and then just crumpling to the floor as he expired. Yeah, I left Reddit for a while at that point. Was browsing fucked up videos and I remember this dude using an ice pick and eating chunks of his lover's ass. He was gay, and although it's not a necessary detail, it's what I remember from the situation. I can't remember why, but shit was fucked up. My friend's girlfriend turning off the music at my birthday party and announced to 20 plus people her and my best friend were having a kid. My best friend had no idea, and we later found out she was poking holes in the condoms to get pregnant. She was never pregnant and was worried he was going to leave her because she wasn't carrying her weight with bills. Goes without saying, but he's single now and better for it. Someone still breathing, cut in half by a train. The euphemism is injuries incompatible with life. 2 guys who died stealing copper that supplied 1,500 VDC. The guy who rode his push bike around a level crossing assuming the train would stop. It was express. I found a young girl's body washed up on a beach very early one morning. It has obviously been in water for a while as the skin was very discolored and rigor mortis had set in. Saw a van catch fire and explode in front of the Flatiron building in NYC about a decade ago. Change your oil, people. In a bar I worked in once, very angry men stormed in, grabbed one of my regulars by his hair and dragged him outside and curbed him. Never seen anything so graphically violent in real life. In grade 3, a kid in my class once took off a blade from a pencil sharpener and tried to attack somebody with it. That same day, at recess, a friend of a friend slipped on hidden ice and bent her ankle the opposite way. Think of that one soccer player who landed on his foot weirdly and bent it basically backwards. That was an eventful day. I watched 2 people from the passenger seat on the highway trying to run each other off the road. Not where they just get their car close to the others, literally ramming into each other like it was a derby on the highway. We got off the highway soon after, so I never saw what happened after that, but still was quite shocking to see on the road. A horse with a stick through its head floating in the pool we swam in at the quarry. It fell off the cliff above and must have hit a tree on the way down. Skeptical smiley. A child's hand on the train tracks. I visited my aunt in Holland in the 80s. Our train had slowed for some reason. I was looking out the window and almost didn't believe my eyes. So sad. The train had hit a child on a bicycle, the conductor told us later. Seeing a guy going through the consequences of a failed suicide attempt, he tried to close up shoot his head with a shotgun. This video of this cartel doing a guy in. They cut off every piece of skin on his head, cut off his hands too. They were cutting his throat and he went to instinctively reach to stop it but forgot he had no hands. Honestly. The view from the top of Kingda Ka. I've seen far too much gore to find any of it shocking, and I'm terrified of heights. That one singular moment I opened my eyes at the top of that 2-seat wide coaster, I about had a panic attack. But I didn't have time to have one because it started going down. Seeing the earth rush towards me at 120 miles per hour was also quite shocking.